Hello students, good evening. Welcome to 5 minutes physics. So in this lecture I am going to solve NCERT exercise question from 1.4 to 1.6, topic electric charge and field. Without wasting time, we'll start the session. My name is SRP as you know and you are watching my beautiful channel Love You Science. So start karte हैं. 1.4 first bit is explain the meaning of statement electric charge is quantized, and second bit is why one can ignore quantization of electric charge when dealing with macroscopic, that is large scale charge. तो फर्स्ट बिट को देखते हैं पहले. इलेक्ट्रिक चार्ज इज क्वांटाइज्ड. as I have told in my previous theory classes, electric charge has three properties. One is additivity, second is conservation, third is quantization. क्वांटाइजेशन प्रॉपर्टी क्या होता है? द नेट चार्ज ऑफ एन आइसोलेटेड बॉडी इज इंटीग्रल मल्टीपल ऑफ बेसिक क्वांटम. मतलब Q is equal to Ne. So let us understand the concept where n is equal to 0 plus minus 1 plus minus 2 plus minus 3. ये जो n का मीनिंग क्या है देखो पहले. Let we have a body having 10 number of electron, 10 number of proton. So here the net charge of the body is 0. Why? Because n is equal to 0. Now what I'm doing, if I add 2 electron to the system, so number of electron will be 12 and number of proton will be 10. So now tell me what is the charge of that system? It will be minus 2e because n is equal to minus 2. Similarly, if I withdraw 2 electron from the system, then number of electron will be 8 and number of proton will be 10. So what is the charge of that system? It will be plus 2e. Because why? Because n is equal to plus 2 here. मतलब number of proton will be more than number of electron by 2. Clear? So similarly, if I withdraw 5 number of electron from the system, so 5 electron will be left and 10 proton. Right? If I withdraw 5 electron, tell me what is the charge? Plus 5. Why? Because n is equal to plus 5. Understood? So ये हो गया concept. Clear? So definition क्या है? The net charge of an isolated system or isolated body is integral multiple of basic quantum. Integral multiple of basic quantum of charge which is small e. मतलब Q is equal to Ne. ये हो गया definition. क्लियर. तो सेकेंड बिट क्या है? वाई वन कैन इग्नोर क्वांटाइजेशन. देखो क्वांटाइजेशन ऑफ चार्ज इज एप्लीकेबल फॉर माइक्रोस्कोपिक चार्ज. ओके, इट इज नॉट एप्लीकेबल फॉर मैक्रोस्कोपिक. वाई? सी, इन माइक्रोस्कोपिक में क्या होता है? माइक्रोस्कोपिक नेचर इज डिस्क्रीट नेचर. क्या है? डिस्क्रीट नेचर. सो वी कैन कैलकुलेट द नंबर ऑफ इलेक्ट्रॉन. मान लो कि 10, 15 और 1600 लाइक दिस. बट अगर मैक्रोस्कोपिक होगा, द नेचर विल बी कंटिन्यूअस. The nature will be continuous. Why it is continuous? Because the number of electron is very high, very large, and the charge on electron is very less. Charge on electron is very less, and number of electron will be very high. So the nature will be macroscopic. Macroscopic matlab continuous. Nature will be continuous. That's why we cannot deal quantization with macroscopic. Or you can say large scale charges. Is it clear? Shall I erase? देखो ये question, when a 1.5, when a glass rod is rubbed with silk cloth, a charge appears at both. A similar phenomenon is observed in many other pairs of body. Explain how this observation is consistent with law of conservation of charge. बहुत important and interesting question है, ध्यान से सुनो. ये जो question है, ये जो मैंने concept last time बोला था in my last video 5 minute series में, different way of charging. There are 3 different possible way by which you can charge the body. First is rubbing. Rubbing is a process. It is a temporary electrification process. Second is conduction. Third is induction. तो तुम्हारा syllabus में induction है important, but rubbing is also a charging process, temporary electrification charging process. So rubbing में क्या होता है? देखो, let there are 2 body A and B and both are neutral. A has 10 electron, 10 proton. B has 12 electron, 12 proton. ठीक है. Let A robbed with B. Due to robbing, let electron jumps from A to B. Let two number of electron jumping from A to B. देखो B to A भी हो सकता है. That depends on the electronic configuration. Let due to friction, two number of electron jumps from A to B. Then tell me what is the number of electron left? It is 8. What is the number of proton? 10. And here what is the number of electron? 14. And number of proton? 12. Now tell me what is the charge of A? It is plus 2e. क्योंकि number of electron is less than number of proton by 2. And here what is the charge of that body B? It is minus 2e. मतलब it is negative. Is it clear? So here question is there are two body. One is glass rod, second is silk cloth. So glass rod is rubbed with silk cloth. मतलब electron jumps from glass to rod, so glass will become positive and silk cloth will become negative. There are other example also. You can say cat skin and ebonite rod. In that case cat skin positive and ebonite rod is negative. So there are बहुत सारे example हैं. So forget it. So just remember the concept. Now what we have to do, how this observation is consistent with law of conservation of charge. मेरे को एक चीज बोलो, before rubbing what is the net charge, or you can say total number of electron, total number of proton. Total number of electron is 10 and 12. It is 22, and total number of proton is also 22. मतलब it is net charge is 0. So after rubbing, what is the total number of electron? 8 plus 14. It is again 22. And 10 plus 12, 22. मतलब what you conclude from here? Before rubbing, net electron 22, net proton 22. After rubbing also, net electron 22, net proton 22. मतलब charge is conserved. Before rubbing जितना charge था, after rubbing उतना भी charge हुआ. So that is मतलब that observation is consistent with law of conservation of charge. Is it clear? Look at the question 1.6. 4 point charges 2 microcoulomb, minus 5 microcoulomb, 2 microcoulomb and minus 5 microcoulomb are located at the corners of a square ABC of side 10 cm. What is the force on a charge 1 microcoulomb placed at the center of a square? Let us draw a diagram. This is a square and the corners are ABCD. Corresponding charges are 2 microcoulomb, minus 5 microcoulomb, 2 microcoulomb and minus 5 microcoulomb. These are the given data, and we'll find out force on a charge 1 microcoulomb which is placed at the center. इसका नाम दे देते O. We'll have to find out force on O. Force on O. And side क्या है? Side is 10 cm. ये आपका given data है. ठीक है? So you tell me ये जो distance है O to A and O to C, O to B and O to D, ये तो distance same होगा. क्यों distance same है? Because it is a square, side तो same है. इसका मैग्नीट्यूड कितना होगा? ये अगर A है, मान लो कि दिस इज A एंड दिस इज A, सो ये A ये भी A है, ये AC क्या हो जाएगा? A स्क्वायर प्लस A स्क्वायर अंडर रूट मतलब रूट 2A. सो AO कितना हो जाएगा? रूट 2A बाई 2. सो दैट विल बी A बाई रूट 2. सो ये भी डिस्टेंस A बाई रूट 2, ये भी डिस्टेंस A बाई रूट 2, ये भी डिस्टेंस A बाई रूट 2. मतलब AO, BO, CO, DO the magnitude are same which is A by root 2. A का वैल्यू बाद में डालेंगे, that is 10 cm. यहाँ तक क्लियर? So here we will find out force on O, force on 1 microcoulomb. Since there are 4 charges, we will be getting 4 forces on 1 microcoulomb, and we have to vectorically add them. मतलब force on O is equal to force on O due to A plus force on O due to B plus force on O due to C plus force on O due to D, right? So even without calculating the magnitude of force we can get the answer within 10 seconds. See, बाद में calculate करेंगे magnitude कितना है, ठीक है? So without calculating the magnitude of individual force we can get the answer within 10 seconds. Just listen carefully. Force on O due to individual charges will find out. See, force on O due to A will be equal to force on O due to C. क्योंकि देखो ये चार्ज 2 माइक्रोकूलम, ये 1 माइक्रोकूलम, ये भी 2 माइक्रोकूलम, ये 1 माइक्रोकूलम, मतलब the force on 1 microcoulomb due to A will be equal to force on 1 microcoulomb due to C. दोनों का मैग्नीट्यूड बराबर हो। and डायरेक्शन क्या होगा? अपोजिट होगा, क्योंकि that 2 microcoulomb will repel that 1 microcoulomb in this direction, repulsion होगा, मतलब force on O due to A, and ये 2 microcoulomb will repel that 1 microcoulomb, force on O due to C. दोनों का मैग्नीट्यूड सेम है, डायरेक्शन अपोजिट है, नेट फोर्स कितना है? 0. सिमिलरली फोर्स ऑन O ड्यू टू B विल बी इक्वल टू फोर्स ऑन O ड्यू टू D, क्योंकि देखो दोनों का मैग्नीट्यूड देखो, ये -5 माइक्रोकूलम, ये -5 माइक्रोकूलम, ये +1 माइक्रोकूलम, मतलब -5 माइक्रोकूलम विल अट्रैक्ट +1 माइक्रोकूलम with a force. That force will be same as this force on 1 microcoulomb due to -5 microcoulomb which is located at B. मतलब फोर्स बराबर है, the magnitude of force will be same. डायरेक्शन क्या होगा? that -5 microcoulomb will attract that 1 microcoulomb, मतलब force on O due to D, and here -5 microcoulomb will attract that 1 microcoulomb, मतलब force on O due to B. force on O due to B will be equal to force on O due to D. Magnitude same है, direction opposite है, net force कितना है? Net force along this axis will be 0. So what is the overall force? 0. So without calculating the magnitude of the force, we can get the answer. क्योंकि distance same है. Let us calculate it. Force on O due to A पहले चेक करते हैं. उससे पहले इसका नाम दे दो. ये 2 माइक्रोकूलम, let it be Q1. ये भी 2 माइक्रोकूलम, let it be Q1. ठीक है, एंड ये -5 माइक्रोकूलम, लेट इट बी Q2, ये दे दो Q2, -Q2 दे दो, -Q2, ये -Q2, ठीक है, ये Q0 दे दो, 1 माइक्रोकूलम Q0 दे दो, ठीक है। तो फोर्स ऑन O ड्यू टू A मतलब क्या है? K, ये दोनों का बीच में फोर्स कितना होगा? K Q1 Q0 अपॉन डिस्टेंस का, डिस्टेंस कितना है? A/√2 स्क्वायर, इसका वैल्यू डाल दो, 9 × 10⁹, Q1 कितना है? 2 × 10⁻⁶, इंटू Q0 कितना है? 1 × 10⁻⁶, बाय A कितना है? 10 सेंटीमीटर। इफ यू सॉल्व इट, मैं सॉल्व नहीं कर रहा हूँ, यू कैन सॉल्व इट, यू विल गेटिंग आंसर 3.6 न्यूटन, ठीक है। एंड फोर्स का डायरेक्शन क्या होगा? 2 माइक्रोकूलम रिपेल दैट 1 माइक्रोकूलम, मतलब डायरेक्शन होगा along AO, along AO, along AO, ठीक है, मतलब along AO। सिमिलरली फोर्स ऑन O ड्यू टू B का मैग्नीट्यूड कितना है? ये सॉरी C, फोर्स ऑन O ड्यू टू C, ये मैग्नीट्यूड कितना होगा? फोर्स का मैग्नीट्यूड K × Q1, देखो Q1 × Q0 अपॉन डिस्टेंस का, डिस्टेंस कितना है? A/√2 होल स्क्वायर। वैल्यू तो सेम है, वैल्यू तो सेम है ना, तो आंसर कितना होगा? 3.96, सर 3.6। डायरेक्शन क्या होगा? 2 माइक्रोकूलम विल रिपेल 1 माइक्रोकूलम, मतलब डायरेक्शन क्या होगा? along CO, along CO, ठीक है, along CO, मतलब व्हाट यू कंक्लूड? फोर्स ऑन O ड्यू टू A विल बी इक्वल टू फोर्स ऑन O ड्यू टू C। मैग्नीट्यूड बराबर है, डायरेक्शन क्या है? अपोजिट, opposite direction. So vectorical you can write force on O due to A will be equal to force on O due to C, negative of force on O due to C. So net force along this axis will be 0. Similarly you can find out force on O due to B and O due to D. देखो force on O due to B का मैग्नीट्यूड कितना होगा? K इंटू इधर Q2 इंटू Q0 बाई A/√2 स्क्वायर, ठीक है, ठीक है। तो K कितना है? 9 × 10⁹, Q2 कितना है? 5 × 10⁻⁶। यू टेक द मैग्नीट्यूड ऑफ दैट चार्ज, Q0 1 × 10⁻⁶ बाय A 10⁻² बाय √2 होल स्क्वायर। देखो आंसर मिलेगा 9 न्यूटन, ठीक है। सिमिलरली वी कैन गेट फोर्स ऑन O ड्यू टू D, फोर्स ऑन O ड्यू टू D, हाँ, इसका डायरेक्शन क्या है? देखो फोर्स ऑन O ड्यू टू B, डायरेक्शन क्या होगा? ये -5, ये +1, इट विल अट्रैक्ट -5 will attract 1 coulomb. So direction will be along OB. So I'm writing here along OB. Similarly, force on O due to D कितना होगा बोलो? सेम आंसर मिलेगा. It will be 9 न्यूटन. डायरेक्शन क्या होगा? -5 microcoulomb will attract 1 microcoulomb. तो डायरेक्शन along OD. मतलब दोनों का ये जो दोनों फोर्स है दोनों का मैग्नीट्यूड सेम है, डायरेक्शन अपोजिट है. मतलब force on O due to B vectorical you can write down negative of O due to B. So along this axis what is the net force? 0. तो ओवरऑल फोर्स क्या मिलेगा? नेट फोर्स विल बी 0. Is it clear? Okay. So with this I'm ending this lecture. Hope you guys understood. If you like my video, please do subscribe and share with your friends. If anything else is required, you can mention in comment box. So thank you so much for watching my video. Thank you.